7:38, morning to you, watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Shall we have a look at today's newspaper front pages? We'll start with the Sunday Times. Running front page covers the Sussexes wanting a royal summit to address their TV grievances.
Oh,
Give me a break.
The Sunday Express talks about Suella Braverman's pledge to stop migrant deaths and take control of British borders after a migrant boat sank in the English Channel last week.
And looking at the Independent, patients on mental health wards are dying from neglect. That's what they say.
On to the Sunday Telegraph, discussing the role of the armed forces and the ongoing industrial action taken by ambulance staff and nurses and all the rest of it. Now the army saying they don't really want to cover all of that if they don't have to.
And in the Mirror, you can read about the side hustle, they say, of UK inmates, prison inmates, who are being paid £3.50 a day by the taxpayer, that's you and me, to strip recyclable materials from wasted COVID PPE.
The Sun on Sunday have a story on Harry,
that's quite a good one.
Harry and Meghan. H&M. Hazard and Meg, wherever they go. I mean, heaven's sakes.
They want a royal apology. I don't think they're going to get that.
No. Anyway, let's talk to Fraser Myers and Emma Burnell, who are going to run us through. And actually, we're going to kick off with that one, Fraser, in the Sun on Sunday, demanding a royal apology. Well, it isn't going to happen, is it?
It's pretty extraordinary, isn't it? After this sort of 6-hour Netflix grievance fest where they've, aired their dirty laundry in public, the Sussexes say that they're the ones that deserve an apology, which is pretty extraordinary. Yeah, I don't think they're going to get one.
Is this story true? Can I just put that out there?
He did say it. He said it in the documentary.
Did he?
That they deserve an apology. He actually said it.
Yeah, and they've taken it from that then, basically. Because it just seems to me so extraordinary.
And there's sort of the suggestion is the way that the Sunday Times puts it is that they want a kind of royal summit to air these grievances, to discuss these things,
which would imply, wouldn't it, that they want back in?
Yeah, a little bit. But I think it would also imply it would mean the palace conceding that they'd done things wrong, which they're not prepared to do, and they're saying they're not going to engage with anything that's been said in this Netflix series. And if anything, it should be the Sussexes apologising to us for subjecting us to their kind of weird psychodramas. I mean, one of the most extraordinary things about the documentary is the amount of times they referred to Brexit, talking about essentially that Britain is a racist country that made it impossible for Meghan to fit in, which is, that's basically a libel on the nation, as far as I'm concerned. No wonder people don't like them.
Do you have any sympathy for them, Emma?
I don't care about a single royal current any point there. It's a family psychodrama. I haven't watched a second of the documentary. I haven't watched a second of any of the coverage. I don't intend to watch the coronation on the other side. It's just not for me.
Oh.
And yet we seem to be obsessed with it a bit.
I know, I'm the Grinch this time, despite the fact that I am the one who's dressed sparkle.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
Anyway, look, to go to a terrible story, we've now got details of the that crush at the Brixton O2 Academy and details of the one person who died in that.
Yeah, it's absolutely heartbreaking. She was a nursing graduate, 2 children. She lives not far from me in East London. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. I've seen some fantastic concerts in that exact...
Yeah, what actually happened?
It seems that 3,000 unticketed people tried to get in and security was overwhelmed. We don't know all of the details. We've seen lots of footage on social media. There is going to be, I believe, a proper formal investigation.
Oh, yes.
So I don't want to predetermine whose fault it is or what happened, but it just seems so tragic that a night out, and and as I say, I saw Suede there, I saw Carter there, absolutely, one of the sort of classic London venues.
Yeah.
It just feels so extraordinary that this sort of thing could happen.
And this victim was a mother of 2.
Mother of 2, yeah, absolutely breaks your heart.
You do this next one, Anne.
Sorry?
You can do this next one.
Can I?
Yes, I'm staying clear of this.
Oh, thank you. Fraser, tell us about this Something to do with sex robots. Please.
So that's just one example of the kind of research that is being commissioned by the official government body for UK research that hands out grants. It's called the UK. It's called UK Research and Innovation, and
they hand out grants to universities.
They hand out grants to universities for certain research projects, and normally in most people's minds, you think they're going to be doing some research into some engineering,
solving the world's problems,
solving the world's problems, developing new forms of energy, or whatever it might be. But in fact, they're giving out money to the kind of things that you maybe we've come to expect universities to be looking into. One piece of research that caught my eye was into digital sexualities, and there was some kind of
sorry. Digital sexuality.
So you've got to get your head around digital sexualities, and it was about exploring digital sexualities by consuming mushrooms. And I think you need a PhD to wrap your head around this.
Somebody has paid a university to do research into this.
Not just paid a university. Nearly £100,000. They've spent on that particular research topic.
Not to take drugs and think about
sex. I'm sure it's a bit more complicated than that, but it does show the kind of drift of the universities, the research sector, into just outright madness. Universities should be, they're absolutely critical to this country, critical to the economy, critical to education and expanding human knowledge. And I suppose human knowledge is being expanded to a certain extent by these studies. Of course, it's not the most useful knowledge.
But the counter, the sort of shocking headlines, the counter argument is, of course, that the way we expand our knowledge is to look into areas
all sorts of weird and wonderful
things. Very weird and wonderful. And actually, that spawns other things.
Absolutely. And I'm very, very cautious about any kind of interference into academic freedom, and sometimes that's coming from the left, or the woke, as you may want to call it, and sometimes that's coming from the right attacking the left. Honestly, I think that Stephen's absolutely right. I
don't hear that very often.
All sorts of odd things fall out of research you just wouldn't expect. Take this thing on mushrooms, for example. We are now seeing an awful lot of expansion on what actually psychotropic drugs can help with. That may have come out of what may have 10 years ago made this headline research. So we just don't know. And I am just really cautious as a principle in any kind of political interference into academic freedom, whether that be, for example, an event on gender and sex at Edinburgh University, or whether that be research into sex robots. Who knows what the outcome of a research into sex robots would eventually give us?
But the outcome, this is what's interesting, because I would agree with you, and I wouldn't want to see, the government having a kind of partisan view on what kind of research gets commissioned. But it is politicised from the beginning, because now, and I think as of earlier this year, since they changed their guidelines, research is supposed to promote equitable outcomes, and it's supposed to promote particular political goals. So it is politicised from the start, and I think that is what is creating some of these
what needs to be politicised, just very quickly before we run out of time, in the Sunday People, I've come across this.
Is using troops.
But, squaddies, they've got a lot of them, or a number of them at least, no heating in the barracks, no hot water, often no toilets that are working.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is something that we should all agree on. We pay squaddies quite badly, frankly. And one of the deals of that is that they get this housing that is lower cost. But if it's not up to standard, that's no good. And these are people we're asking to put their lives on the line for us, potentially or in reality.
They should have good basic accommodation, shouldn't they?
Other people who are striking for the right, they are not having. Now, there are a lot of people say, we should send in the army and nurses should be treated the same. Well, I think if we're talking about treating people the same, we should absolutely have a basic standard of living available to those people who are serving the armed forces.
There are quite a number, you can't be too specific on it, but there are certainly a number of soldiers who are coming back from quite long deployments of 2-3 months, were coming home for Christmas leave, and are now actually straight out back out on the front line.
And they're saying, we didn't expect the conditions at home to be worse than they are in Afghanistan. I mean, that's just appalling.
Yeah. No,
my son trained in the army all during lockdown, and for months on end they had no hot water. Can't believe it, can you?
No, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Basic accommodation should be there for them, same as anyone else.
A lot of it's farmed out though to these other companies, and they should be making sure that what they're selling the army is up to spec. Anyway, look, on that note, we need to leave it. Emma, Fraser, thank you both very much indeed. We'll see you next hour. Look forward